So who is the championship player of the season in every championship club? Let's discuss. What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. It should be a very interesting video today. I'm going to go through every single championship club and I'll tell you who I think has been the player of the season in every championship club. If you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. Let's go for 20 likes in this video. Let's hit that subscribe button as well. On 517, let's try and push to 600 as soon as we can. And please share this channel to as many people as you can. It's how I'm going to grow. But without any further ado, let's get right into this. Bournemouth's player of the season for me has to be Dan Zuma. Just even from the goal he scored yesterday in this playoff semi-finals first leg, just proved everything to me for how much of a fantastic player Dan Zuma is. Dan Zuma has just popped in, getting important goals for Bournemouth at key times and against top teams. He got the only goal against Norwich. He got the only goal against Watford. He has scored important goals when Bournemouth really needed it. So he has been, for me, their player of the season. And he'll be someone who'll be getting a load of interest if Bournemouth do not get promoted. Barnsley's player of the season for me, honestly, could be everyone. Even the manager, if I was allowed managers to be the player of the season. My player of the season for me is going to Michael Healy. He has just been a fantastic quality defender and has been remarkably consistent all season, even scoring up to 4 goals for Barnsley this season as well as a centre-back. He is menacing in the air. He did have a good opportunity against Swansea in the playoffs yesterday. I think if anyone can make a difference for Barnsley in that second leg, it could be someone like Michael Healy if he has a great defensive performance, or he can win a header from a set piece and get a goal from it because he's very dangerous in the air. I think Barnsley have heavily benefited with him having a fantastic season for Barnsley, but bounce back ability as well to having a terrible start, getting sent off on his debut, to then have the season that he's had with Barnsley and to completely turn their form around. You've got to give Michael Healy a lot of credit. Birmingham's player for the season for me is difficult to narrow down. Jukovic, I think, deserves a shout, but I'm actually going to give it to Harley Dean. Just from his captaincy, his ability. The 2 goals that stick to mind with Harley Dean was the winner against Reading and also the winner against Rotherham. Both of those goals by themselves have earned Birmingham 6 points. And without his contribution, his work ethic from working from minute 0 to minute 90, just to have that leadership and getting the team organised, he has really stepped up, especially when Lebo came into the club. So for me, maybe one you didn't expect, but Harley Dean is my player of the season for Birmingham. Blackburn's player of the season for me has to be Adam Armstrong. Just scored 28 goals. In any other season would be the championship top goal scorer. He's just a little bit unlucky that the strikers this year in the championship have just been absolutely insane. He has scored 3 hat-tricks this season. A hat-trick of hat-tricks. I can't even remember the last time that a striker in a single season has scored 3 separate hat-tricks. Unbelievable season that Adam Armstrong has had. No doubt he'll get some interest going into the summer. They go to Brentford's player of the season, and once again, do I really need to explain who I think the player of the season is? Clearly, Ivan Toney. 31 goals he scored. He's broken the all-time championship record for the most goals scored in a single season. And to make the step up from League One to the championship as well, with some players really struggling to adapt to championship football, he needed to wait until game week 3 as well to start scoring. But when he did, he couldn't stop scoring. And that is how he managed to get his 31 goals. Unbelievable breakout season from Ivan Toney. Bristol City's player of the season, there's not really been many that I felt can really step up to the plate with that. But one player who I think does deserve some recognition is Hanoa Masengo. That may be a bit surprising, and Bristol City fans will be looking at this player who's very young, a load of potential, but someone who can be a bit inconsistent. And I kind of agree, and it's kind of epitomised Bristol City season. But when I have seen him play, out of everyone on that pitch, I feel like he works almost twice as hard as all of the players in that pitch combined. He really tries to win the second ball. He wins tackles very well. He can sometimes make the killer pass to set up a goal as well. I think Hanoa Masengo's work has been a little bit overlooked following Bristol City's poor run and their position in the table. But for me, Bristol City's player of the season and Noah Misengo. Now, Cardiff City player of the season is a bit difficult. I was tempted to give it to Sean Morrison. Of course, the Championship have recognised him being a player of the season, putting him in the actual team of the season. Whilst his work, I think, does get underrated with him being a central defender and also being their captain, I don't think he's quite my player of the season. For me, my player of the season for Cardiff is Kiefer Moore, to score 20 plus goals to overtake Adi Boothroyd's record, which has been held for nearly 10 years actually. It's absolutely brilliant for him, and he's another player who I have been a little bit worried whether he can adapt to the varying demands playing in a Wigan side, by no means disrespect, just playing out for survival. Cardiff, a team who are challenging for top 6 and all of that, with that change of demands, can definitely do bad things to a player. But with him though, he really relished it, and actually he really suited the way Cardiff played, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Coventry City, I'm actually going to go with Callum O'Hare. Now, if I were to pick the best player, it'd probably be someone like Gustavo Hamer, but this is my player of the season rather than the best player. If I was doing every championship's best player, this will be in an entirely different video. But my player of the season, I'm going to give it to Callum O'Hare. For me, I even remember the first goal he scored in the Championship as well against Queen's Park Rangers. And since that goal, he really has been one of the brightest sparks in that Coventry squad. Even scoring up to the final day of the season against Millwall as well. He's kept up that high intensity, that intent to score a goal throughout the whole entire season, and really does offer something creative and attacking for Coventry going forward. He is a huge part of the way they like to play, and I think his work does get overlooked a little bit. So my player of the season for Coventry is Callum O'Hare. Derby County, now there's not too many I really feel I can pick. I'm actually going to pick someone who's barely featured this season, Christian Belick. Now, the reason why I say Christian Belick, he has only featured for 4 or 6 or so games, but when Christian Belick was in that squad, that was when Derby were in their strongest run of form. And do you want to know why? Derby was stable. They were stable at the back, and because they were defensively solid, all they had to do was get the ball in the net, and they did so in those 6 games where Derby were in an incredible run of form midway through the season. And Christian Belick played a huge part, managing to cement over the holes that Derby backline had, and that's pretty much been a big flaw for Derby all season. So whilst he's not played nearly enough games, my Derby player of the season has to be Christian Belick. Huddersfield's player of the season is also a little bit tough, but I'm going to give it to Harry Toffolo from what he's played in that full-back position. And I've said it before when I was giving my player of the season. He is someone who can track back but can also offer things going forward as well. And I do think he is extremely underrated. But there's a handful of players for me that are very close behind Toffolo. Schofield could even be in contention being my player of the season. Even Lewis O'Brien, when he's been involved, he has been fantastic for Huddersfield. But I might just edge it for Toffolo being my Championship player of the season for Huddersfield. Luton Town is interesting. There's a lot of players who I can really realistically give the reward to. My award for me is going to Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, someone who I don't think really gets nearly enough credit as much as he deserves, in my opinion. He scored the equalising goal for Luton in their final game of the season against Queen's Park Rangers. They were unlucky not to get anything more than a draw in that game. But this season, I saw him in the flesh when I saw Luton play against Chelsea. And just the way he commands the field, the role he plays, he really makes this Luton side tick. If they did not have him, I wouldn't say Luton would have been as dynamic or as consistently dynamic as they were. So my player of the season for me is going to Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. Middlesbrough's player of the season is tough as well, but for the amount of games this guy has played, I am going to give it to Paddy Mcnair. There's so many players actually that could realistically get the reward. But to reiterate, with the amount of games that Paddy Mcnair has played, the role change he's had, he's more used to being a defensive midfielder, and now he's been moved to a centre-back position. And with how long that can take for players just to kind of adjust the logistics of it and the mentality and the roles, Paddy Mcnair has switched that role like almost seamlessly. And because he's done that, Middlesbrough have been very defensively solid for the majority of the season. Millwall's player of the season has been a little bit tough. I would say Jed Wallace probably just about edges it compared to everyone else with the amount of goal contributions he's had. But I wouldn't even say he's had as big of a season as he's previously had last year. I mean, it's probably because last year he had an incredible season, getting double figures in goals and assists. But we all know what Jed Wallace can do. He can pop in with a goal. He's fantastic going forward and really causes defenses some handfuls as well. But in terms of other players who could get the reward, I would say Bilkowski has been all right most of the time this season as well. Clifton Bell, when he came into Millwall, I actually think he's been fantastic for Millwall, actually. Getting some defensive solidarity in that midfield battle as well, which I think has been something that Millwall have been lacking for a bit this season as well. To reiterate, I think I will give my player of the season for Jed Wallace, even though I don't think it was actually as good as last year. Norwich City's player of the season, I'm going to edge it to Buendia, but Timo Pukki gets very, very close. For the fact that Pukki's managed to score 26 goals this season, and actually to try and compete with the previous goal scoring season he had and have that pressure, I think Pukki has been absolutely brilliant this season, but Buendia has just been another level, honestly. Just some of the intricate play, the technique. I remember one of the goals he scored where he had to do a touch on the ball pretty much 50 feet in the air. Absolutely unbelievable. Just the technique and for how he can switch the dynamics of the game by giving him enough time and space. Also, actually, I would give a quick shout out to Grant Harmley, but also Tim Krul. Tim Krul has actually had the highest save rate percentage out of every single goalkeeper in the top 4 divisions, and 80% save rate percentage, and that's included saving 2 penalties as well this season. Nottingham Forest player of the season is also a little bit tough to narrow down. I'm actually going to give it to a transfer they brought into January who has made a big impact, and for me that goes to James Garner. And actually I think their midfield has been the best component in this season. It's been defence and attacking wise where I think they've both been a little bit slack. When he was at Watford, I can tell he just only was showing half of what he can do. When he came to Nottingham Forest and was given a shift in the role and actually was told to be a little bit more advanced as well, but also making sure you track back to keep the solidarity in the midfield, he really suited that. And for the fact he was more advanced, he got a lot more goals out of it as well. And I think some of the goals he has scored has been fantastic for Forest, and just having that player with that impetus to try and change the game, I think really gave Nottingham Forest a kick up in the backside. So I'm going to give my player of the season to James Garner. Preston's player of the season is also quite difficult to narrow down, following that a lot of them have actually left in the season. I'm going to edge it though to Scott Sinclair, although Ched Evans, with the impact that he's actually managed to give to Preston since he's come into January, he does get a very close second, but I would say for the longevity of the season, I think it has been Scott Sinclair. I remember the fantastic goal from distance he scored against Bournemouth. Also, when he scored against Brentford as well, he ultimately changed the game for Preston for getting 2 goals there. He has scored in important games this season, and Scott Sinclair arriving at the biggest moments. If only if he was a bit more consistent, then Preston could have even had a better season for what they had. Queen's Park Rangers' player of the season is also a tough one because there's been a lot of players in that Queen's Park Rangers squad who I think have had an incredible season. But for the longevity, once again, I'm going to give it to Elias Chair. Just the impact he's had in that midfield, being advanced, getting a couple of goals within him as well. The assists he's made this season has been incredible. The link-up play he's had between Asai Samuel in the first half and then with Stefan Johansson and Charlie Austin in the second half of the season has honestly been second to none and has been absolutely scintillating to watch. He really is the glue of Queen's Park Rangers. So my player of the season for Queen's Park Rangers is Elias Chair. Reading's player of the season for me has to go to Michael Elise. He, out of any Reading player, has had a breakout season. Once again, a bit similar to Elias Chair, just for how advanced he is. Some of the technique he has shown at a young age of 19 years of age has been absolutely incredible. And when you've got a player full of confidence, full of impetus, you know, wanting to make sure that they can change the game, it naturally edges the team on. He has been definitely the best player that I have watched in that Reading squad. So for me, my player of the season for Reading goes to Michael Elise. Stoke's player of the season for me has to go to Nick Powell. He has been absolutely brilliant when he has been in. When he was injured, I think that was when Stoke were really struggling. You could praise their defensive line as well. They've actually got the most away clean sheets out of any championship club this season. So you can definitely look at someone like a Harry Souttar getting the player of the season, which I think he does deserve. But in an attacking sense, that is where Stoke has struggled. But for one attacking player who has stepped up and has tried to make things happen for Stoke has been Nick Powell. I think he's definitely delivered to what he can do, but I even think he can even deliver a little bit more. I think if Stoke were able to score more goals, I even think Nick Powell could even thrive off his Stoke's team even better. Swansea's player of the season for me has to go to Andre Ayew. The goal he scored against Barnsley yesterday was honestly top quality, and just that ability to change from what was a really bad game into a really good one is a player that who's not only going to thrill you as the neutral, but can definitely give something positive to the team within a matter of seconds of fantastic quality. And that's exactly what Andre Ayew did. I think he's got to be Swansea's player of the season. And Watford's player of the season for me is going to go to Ismaila Sarr. There's so many players in that Watford squad that do deserve it. I think Cleverly deserves a little bit of a shout. You could say someone like Troops Ekong, who has stepped into that back line, has been fantastic as well. You could say Feminina as well. Messina, who has been fantastic as well. But for me, all the Watford players who I think do deserve to be player of the season has to be Ismaila Sarr. The pace he has and the technique of his strikes he has shown in the second half of the season, especially when he's been a lot more advanced, has honestly been scintillating. Another player alongside with Emiliano Buendia, who has been too good for the Championship, and as a result, both of their teams have been promoted. To end off the video, I'm actually going to talk through the player of the season of the 5 teams who will be in the Championship next season. We'll start off with the 2 teams promoted from League One. So Hull City's player of the season, really tough to narrow it down because there's 3 players in mind: Manic Wilkes, George Honeyman and Keane Lewis Potter. Those 3 players I think have been the standouts, but I think with the amount of goals Malik Wilkes has scored in League One level, I think you've got to give Malik Wilkes the player of the season. If they did not have his goals, Hull would be a completely different team to what they are. Peterborough's player of the season for me has to go to Johnston Clark-Harris. He's been a player who I've been watching for a long time, and he has had to step up, filling a huge void in Peterborough's squad in losing Ivan Toney. But now having Johnston Clark-Harris in his position to score the amount of goals that he scored and to get Peterborough promoted as well, you've got to give him a lot of credit. My player of the season for Peterborough has to be Johnston Clark-Harris. Now to the 3 relegated teams in the Premier League. We'll start off with Sheffield United. Now, unfortunately, I can't really find too many people who I think I could potentially give player of the season of. Honestly, guys, I'm really struggling with this one. Can you guys maybe help me in the comments down below and tell me a player who I think does deserve to get player of the season? West Brom also has been a team a little bit difficult to find a player of the season. Pereira's been a bit disappointing. Diagne, when he's come in that striker position, I think has been great. But I'm going to give my player of the season to Sam Johnston. You may think, why on earth am I giving the reward to someone like a goalkeeper who's conceded the most goals in the league? You've got to look at the amount of saves Johnston's made all season, and he's not even made too many howlers as well. The amount of goals he's conceded has been down to the team and the style of play. Without him, West Brom could have even conceded even way more goals than what they've done. But you've got to give Sam Johnston a load of credit. He was unlucky to lose out to a goalkeeping header in his last game. But most of his season, Sam Johnston's been right on it. Fulham's player of the season has been a little bit tough for me to narrow down as well. I'm actually going to give my player of the season to Ola Aina. I was very tempted to give it to Ademir Lukman for the fact he's had 8 goal contributions this season, but that Panenka penalty has demoted his vote. And I'm going to give my player of the season to Ola Aina because when he came into Fulham, he's already had 7 clean sheets. But not only that, he has scored 2 goals as well as a defender. So not only is he doing fantastic work in the backside of the pitch, but in the front end of the pitch, he's getting goals as well. And when you've got a defender that can do all of that, you really have got a great quality player on your hand. And I think if Fulham had got him in sooner, then maybe Fulham could have definitely had a bit more of an opportunity to survive. They have been a lot more solid when Aina has come into that squad. And if they can keep him when they get relegated to the Championship, I think Fulham could be a real tough side to break down. But that wraps it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you do give this video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so for the channel. It really helps. And please share my channel as well. All about really make my day. If there's any more videos you want to see me on this channel, please do make sure you tell me some video ideas in the comments down below. I want to try and upload a little bit more consistently. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you've seen the end of this video. And as always, take care everyone.